what's going on, you guys? Welcome back, Forgiven AF podcast. Oh man, I'm so excited to be back. So, Jay Dan, I mean, you guys already know who this is. I don't have to. He doesn't need an explanation. Is that the saying? Explanation?
Yeah.
Or introduction?
Yeah, either one.
Yeah, either one, right?
Yeah.
But so this morning has been awesome. You guys know I use this as marketing material for our nonprofit Second Chance Mentors, where we work with the young kids that have been kicked out of school, help them get back into school, help them stay out of trouble. So that's kind of how we fund this podcast. We also have this side of it. Sorry. Now I'm all insecure about the camera angles because JD says, man, the camera's right here in our groin. And I was like, man, I never thought about that. I wonder if I need to change the angle of the cameras.
Oh, that's funny.
But
that's funny.
I love that we can be transparent with the people and we can be vulnerable.
Now I'm watching your eyes. You're looking at the screen. Are we supposed to be looking at the camera?
You see, that's the problem. That's why I don't leave this on. You guys get to see this is like basically behind the scenes. I'm glad you guys get to see this, and especially with Jay Dan Gumm. So y'all, I know that you guys know Jay Dan. One of the coolest things was the first time I was ever on a podcast or brought to do a podcast or anything was a background check back in 5 years ago.
2021, yeah.
Might have been like I think you said it was like one of your third episodes or something like that.
Yep.
And I know I just said this. We just shot a podcast for background check.
Yeah.
And
back
came
to back.
straight
Interview
here.
swap.
Yeah, and came straight here to do this. Because me and Jay Dan are actually really good friends. This isn't something we don't just get together and shoot podcasts. Like this is something that we do. We live life together. Anytime I've ever came to him with he is just as real in person as he is on his podcast. Anytime I've ever asked him, and you know what? When I ask a question to Jay Dan Gumm, I better be prepared to have 30 to 45 minutes.
That's right.
To get the answer.
That's right.
Like he's not going to give you the short answer.
No Cliff Notes version.
It's going to be detailed, which is awesome. You know what I mean? Like I've never felt rushed. Every time I've had a question for you, I've felt loved and cared about, which is cool.
It's funny because some people will ask a question, but then I'll continue on with my answer for about 20 minutes. Like, hey, I got to go now.
Yeah. I've had to do.
I'm like, wait a minute, you called me. Like, you got to listen to me.
It's funny. I've had to, but it's just because you care and you're detail oriented.
I know. I love it.
It's so funny. So, like I said, we just went and shot a podcast down there and at Jay Dan's studio. First time I've ever been down there to your actual studio that you built. It's really cool. You've done
it's fun, man. I love that. I was telling you, I was showing you pictures because we just took, you guys have sent pictures like crazy to put on our wall. We've loved having so many of them. We left a few up, but for the most part, we're just, every 2 or 3 years, you gotta remodel, like even like Walmarts and restaurants and everything like that. They go through every 5 to 7 years, they do a remodel. They give a new, fresh look. And so we just decided it was time to give Behind Me a new, fresh look. And who knows, maybe we'll paint the studio pretty soon. I don't know.
That's pretty cool. That's why we put the picture up. That Crystal Watts actually sent me this picture.
I'm on Crystal. I think I know Crystal.
Really?
I think Crystal's written into us too.
Probably. She's cool. I think she's on like Indian reservations in like Idaho or something like that. I think if I remember correctly. But I love this picture. I posted on my social media.
It's amazing.
Anyone else, like Jay Dan said, like if anyone wants to send pictures, like I'd love to put them up. I think
come on, y'all need to send you artists that have drawn me and Jessa over the years. I don't know if you saw them on the wall.
Yeah.
Y'all need to draw. Y'all need to draw this right here, cool. Sean and this, the whole studio. Draw that and send it to them.
That's cool. This is the first picture I've ever got.
Man,
so
you're gonna get more. Cool. You're gonna get more.
Yeah. So the book came out last week or last time. It was, to me, overwhelming as far as how awesome it did and how many people were willing to support and encourage us through that. And so thank you so much to anybody. If you had any of your people buy it or whatever, the offer still stands. If you have no way to get it, to write me and I'll send you a copy. I've sent out a couple phone calls I've gotten. I've sent out a couple copies too.
We just bought a book from him too.
Yeah, Jay Dan just bought one for he bartered. He started with a bag of coffee and I said no. And then he gave me a bag of coffee and a soup.
Yeah, so, that's right. For real though, you need to go watch the episode of Background Check Podcast and you'll see.
It was a fair trade. Totally a fair trade. So I want to kind of know what's been going on with Forgiven Felons. Like I know that you haven't been in all the prisons that you were in before, but it opened new doors so can you kind of like just tell us what's new? I know you've been on our episode before. So like we said you don't really have to go into the full, background. But maybe like you said, a 2-minute elevator pitch of who you are, what Forgiven Felons is, background check, and
absolutely. Man, I was sentenced to 2 5-year sentences for my 4th and 5th DWI for just horrible addiction to Jack Daniels. I've been sober now, 23 years. April 10th was 23 years sober.
That's cool.
And I tell people I still get drunk. I just switch bartenders. So, cause I find what getting high and getting drunk does for us is it sends the dopamine, sends the chemicals to our brain. And I have new ways of getting that.
That's cool.
You know, with a wife and 2 daughters in a transitional house, when guys get out and they text me the keys to their brand new car, I get a dopamine rush.
That is cool.
And so anyway, since I've been out, man, the Forgiven Felons was birthed while I was in prison because I saw 2 guys mentoring me. They got out and didn't make it. One went home to a bad family environment. One went to a bad halfway house. And so I said, I need to create a space. I told God I want to create a space where people can come that don't want to go to these other places. Yeah. And so we've been doing that for the last 14 years. We did have to shift because, sometimes everything happens for a reason. And sometimes those reasons are you just make dumb mistakes. I mean, seriously,
that's true.
God doesn't want us to make dumb mistakes, but he can make all things good, even from our dumb mistakes. But sometimes the reasons things happen is because we're stupid. And I was stupid on some things. I got my in-person volunteer status revoked about 3 years ago. Still have not let me back in. They took us off Pando because I mentioned some things about going on at the Hughes unit, and I mentioned prisoner transport, and that they shut me down because of that. But we're still on the podcast app, the original OG that they originally heard your audio podcast on, your interview with me a long time ago. We're still on there. We're on Adovo, and, not going in to Texas prisons hurt. When I testified 2 years ago or last year in Austin, on some air conditioning bills and some private prison bills, the next day they took us off the approved housing list for parole.
Oh, that's harsh.
And that was a gut punch too. Cause had I known they were going to be that petty and retaliate, I wouldn't have done it. Cause I'm all about the men and women and helping them when they get out. And that's the thing too, is my number one thing is being there for them when they get out. Even if it's just give them hygiene, connect them with a job, connect them with a house, apartment, whatever. That's always been my thing, is be there for them. So I'm not as upset about not being able to go back into Texas prisons, even though, I would love to still come back in. But it has opened the doors for all these other, man, we've been to North Dakota. We've been to every prison in North Dakota. There's only 5. But we've been to every prison in North Dakota. Cool. Missouri, we've been to Missouri. I'm about to go back to Missouri July 27th. We've been to Florida twice, Arkansas. We're trying to schedule Arizona. We're trying to schedule North Carolina, Wisconsin. I mean, just going to all these places. We've been invited to Kenya. We're supposed to go to Kenya in 7 days.
That's cool.
But it got canceled because of the war.
Yeah.
The war affects everybody.
How do you, when you do that, what are you doing? Reaching out to the chaplains in the prisons?
So what I tell everybody on the podcast is I tell them on the show, if you want your prison to have me come there, then have whoever schedules your services, whoever handles your volunteers, your guests coming in, have them reach out to me. I don't have time to call everybody. So cool. I tell them, I put it back on them and say, have your chaplain. All they got to do is reach out. Once they reach out, it lets me know I'm invited, and then we'll start the process of getting in and then you just got to, every state has different paperwork they do, different background checks, different, things you got to sign. And, so it's kind of cool to go into other states and see how far behind Texas is on some things.
Yeah.
I will say this, they're still far behind on technology, even though they got tablets now. Technology in other prisons, Missouri, they have their own TV stations. They have their own broadcast TV station rooms set up with green screens and production screens. I walked into this one prison in Missouri, and that TV that you got up there on the wall, there's 21 channels, 21 little, and they manage a whole cable channel for their prison.
Really?
There's documentary channels, there's comedy channels, there's all kinds of channels.
All being run
from that prison for that prison by 7 guys in a big control room. It's incredible. There's actually 3 TVs that hold all the channels. They have servers in their room. It's incredible. They have a whole TV show. When I went there to speak in Missouri, all 3 units had the same recording capabilities One of them actually had a recording studio, like a music recording studio.
Yeah.
You walk in and there's instruments everywhere, and they have little sound booth. And I mean, it's incredible. One of the units I went to in Missouri, the setup, it looked like we were at a conference. They had pipe and drape set up with a TV in the middle of the pipe and drape with our guest speakers, photos and ministry stuff. I mean, it was incredible. It looked like a conference. You wouldn't even know.
That's cool.
Except for the men that had prison uniforms on.
Yeah.
The sound man came out and said, "Hey, are you okay with your audio from your background check intro to be your walk up music? To be my what? My walk-up music. Yeah, we're going to play some walk-up music whenever we introduce you." That's conference stuff. That's stuff you see at, and so it's incredible. And we walk by one room, the TV room, and it's literally like a TV news desk with a green screen behind it. And it's like a normal TV show.
And they're recording it there.
Yes.
There themselves. That's
and so
cool.
Every unit, even the maximum security unit, recorded our services. And then they put together, 2 of them recorded the whole service. One of them recorded a 3-minute recap video, and they all did it with their media teams inside the prison.
That's really cool.
And it was just incredible.
Is the point of that to give these guys career opportunities when they get out?
Yes, that, and plus some of these are maximum security units, so these guys aren't going home. Some of these guys aren't going home.
So it gives them
gives the opportunity to keep, the incentive base there and to make sure people are acting right, because if you don't, then you can't work in the TV room. The rec yards are, the rec yards are incredible in Missouri. The rec yards were I'm like, dude, this is like a park.
That's really cool. I want to go with you next time you go.
Yeah. You need to come to me.
Is it hard to bring people in?
Nope, not at all. So, but one thing prison in Texas excels at better than any part of the nation is the in-person volunteers. That's why God was like, look, Texas is fine. You're on the tablets. You're inside Texas still because you're on the tablets. Texas is fine with plenty of volunteers going in.
Yeah.
These other states, when I go, the reason they roll out the red carpet for us because nobody comes into their prisons.
That's crazy.
It's like they don't have all the in-person stuff, so they roll out the red carpet. We're truly treated like celebrities when we go to these other states. They're cool. Like, we're just glad you came here. They're like, wardens are coming up and shaking your hands and appreciating you and all that.
So not just inmates, even staff. That's cool.
Oh yeah. We were at one of the maximum security prisons who wasn't really sure about us coming in at first. And the warden, her husband worked for the central office, kind of like Huntsville is here. And that's the unit that the reason we took so long getting approved in Missouri. Like, we were still not approved 3 days before our event.
Oh, wow.
And it was because of her unit, which was maximum security, and her husband, he's the one who approves it all. And so I'm just like, I was telling the other guy, I was like, man, I mean, we've got planes booked, we've got lodging booked, we've got, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. So it was all booked. So the hardest one that took the longest to get approved afterwards, and she was still worried about whether we were, like, what are y'all all about? We don't know anything about you. Cause they were kind of an afterthought as far as we're coming to this unit. I'm like, you got any more close by? And she was like, her unit was close by. Yeah. So she wasn't for sure about us. But then after we did it, she invited us all into her office, gave us ice cream, and gave us the little challenge coins for her unit.
That's cool.
It was really cool.
That is cool.
We sat there for 30 minutes and 40 minutes and talked to her. And now, we got the open door to welcome back anytime now.
That's awesome. So, sometimes just that first time of just proving yourself.
And then when I go, I went to a Chicago Bears football game when they played the Steelers. And so I decided to look around. I was going with my friend Reggie, who I was locked up with, and he was in my wedding. And I started calling everybody, and I found a little prison in Joliet, which is about an hour away. And when you do that, when it's like that, it is me calling because they don't know about us.
Yeah.
So I call, and imagine a prison, like, getting a phone call from a former felon, like, hey, I want to come, share with your men. And they're like, who are you? What do you do? What, And so we got to go me and Reggie got to go into the Joliet prison right outside Chicago, Illinois, and maximum security prison. It was really cool because we only did one service, but there was about 40 guys that showed up, and only one guy had heard of us. Okay. Yeah. I knew we're on the Adovo app, but we had just started on the Adovo app. and nobody knew about us.
And you can look it up and see how
Yes,
many
you can
people
look
are
up
in there.
now. And so we got there. This is before I even knew how to look it up on Adobe. This is back in the fall of the football season. And so one guy comes in, he's like, "You're the guy from the podcast." I'm like, "Yes, you've seen us?" And he's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Well, man, nobody else is." He's like, "Yeah." I said, "How'd you find us?" He goes, "Well, I was doing a search on Adobe for barber." And he said, and then that's when your episode with Fresh, the mobile barber, came up. I have a friend who's a mobile
Yeah.
barber, and he brought his chair to the studio,
That's cool.
and he cut my hair. We chopped it up while he cut my hair,
That's
and then
cool.
after that, we shared the rest of his story. And he goes, "So I saw that episode because I just searched barber. I was trying to see if there were any barber courses or stuff like that, and so it was pretty cool." So I said, "Well, spread the word, man. We're here."
That's
And
cool.
so,
That reminds me of we talked about that girl. Her name is Michelle that had just gotten out. That's doing the law stuff.
yep.
And I was like, "How'd you find that?" She goes, "I was looking up nutrition, and I looked up nutrition, and your episode came up where you gave like nutrition advice." It's so random how you know what I mean.
But that's cool that they can do that through Adovo.
Yeah.
Because on Pando, you can't just search like nutrition and then pull it up because Pando, it's all religious.
Oh,
Adovo, it's all learning.
that is
So
cool.
Adovo has the search feature where you can type in a topic and it will pull up. It will
Anything that has to do with
anything
it.
that has to do with that. So
That is cool.
I love that.
That is awesome. So now I don't know if this is supposed to be a secret, but there's a book in the works, right?
Yes. I told it to all of Prison Nation about a year ago, and a lot of them have been holding me accountable.
That's
It
good.
may have been a year and a half when I first told it, because I think I missed my first deadline. Because my first deadline was supposed to be at the end of this last year, and I didn't get it done. And so
Why?
Christmas light season is at the end of the year, and Christmas light season really takes it out of me.
You
So-
wouldn't. So did you know Christmas light season was coming up when you made that decision that this is when it was going to be ready?
I did. And
You don't seem like the type of person to miss deadlines to me. So
Uh,
let's dig
I love
deeper.
to miss deadlines.
Do you really?
I'm such a procrastinator. No, okay, I take that back. With everything else, I'm not. But with the book, it's a spiritual battle with the book.
Then that's where I was trying to go with that. It was
Spiritual battle.
sometimes we will miss deadlines because we don't feel like the book is good enough, or we don't feel like we put enough into it, or we don't feel like it's actually ready. So then we come up with other things that are causing the delay when really, because writing a book and putting it out there and then it's so, you have to be so vulnerable, even
Yeah.
in just the idea of like, okay, I'm gonna put this out there and it could be a total, like it could be awful or
Right.
no one could read it. It could just be a total
Yeah.
flop. And like, I put all this effort into it. Like, so it's almost safer to just miss deadlines.
Well, let me tell you how God loves to take all excuses away from us. All right. He just loves to take every excuse away. So a couple years ago, 3 years ago, no, more than that, because I've been gone. So it's probably 4.5, 5 years ago before I switched to churches. I'm going to Social Dallas now. Shout out to Social Dallas. Before we switched there, at the very end of our time at Trinity, there was a guest speaker that came in, and he kind of like operates in just words of knowledge and wisdom and stuff, and kind of what they call the prophetic. And he was speaking prophetically over the pastors of the church. Well, I was part of the kind of like security team at that time, so I would just go up and stand behind them and make sure, sometimes in Pentecostal charismatic churches, people will fall back. And so I would just always want to make sure my pastors don't fall back. So after he spoke to them, I walked off stage. He walked to the middle of the stage to start to speak again. He's like, wait a minute. Okay, wait. Who was the man holding, standing behind the pastor and his wife? And everybody pointed to me, and I was like, he's like, come back up here, because I got something for you. I'm like, oh crap. And he goes, your testimony is fire. He said, you've spoken it, but it's time to write it down.
That's cool.
And he said, people's lives are going to be transformed by your written testimony. He said, in fact, people's lives are already being changed through conversation about your testimony. And he said, you got to write it down. And so even after that,
I was just going to say, so
I'm still procrastinating.
So that's so funny you said that, because even when I was going through, I've actually heard from the Lord. Like I to me, it sounded audible,
I hope
right?
I'm like yelling in your mic. I hope it doesn't come out wrong
No,
in the audio. Okay, good.
it's good. Like audibly, I was walking. I was going through like some depression time, and I was walking through this park, and I was like, God, what is wrong? And I heard God say, "Get off of everything and rely on me." This is while I was still drinking a little bit,
Yeah.
and like and like still, you would think if you hear something from God that you're just gonna. I still couldn't like it. Still wasn't like an immediate change for me to get my life together. It's so crazy how even and you had basically God speak to you through this pastor, and we can still delay and not act right on
And
it.
see, he knows not to send me messages through my wife, through friends, people that I know, because to me, it's like, oh, you're obligated to say those things
Yeah.
to me. He knows to send total strangers.
That's good.
Total strangers. I mean, I've gone through Walmart before and a cashier will say like times where I'm like feeling like if I'm having an impact in am I doing enough or am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And just a random cashier at Walmart just said to me one time, I don't know if you even believe in stuff like this, but I think I'm supposed to tell you that you're right where you're supposed to be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
That's cool.
And God knows that he can't, like I said, he can't have my wife or a friend that, already knows my story. No, he's got to have a random stranger send me the message to let me know, hey, look, you're okay.
You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah.
So
God
I love
knows
that about God.
we need this. I call them God winks, like just little things that God does to let us know that He's there and that we're on track and that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the transition house. How has everything been going with that? Or is it still? Are you ready to have what's going on? Didn't you guys get land?
Yes.
So
yes.
what's going on with all that stuff?
So, the last year since they removed us from the parole approved list, it's been slower.
Has that affected it?
Yeah, it's huge because most of the people that come out are on parole.
Okay.
And so now we're only able to take state jail people.
Oh, so
or
hold on.
flat discharge.
It's not. They didn't just take away like their hate recommendation. They actually took away.
They removed us from being approved.
That seems
so now nobody.
strange.
I know nobody that's on parole can come to our place because your house has to be approved through parole to let somebody parole there.
Wow, that seems extreme.
Yeah, very, very extreme, very petty, very retaliatory, and like I said, in hindsight, if I knew they were going to do that, I wouldn't have gone and advocated in the way that I advocated. I'm going to always advocate for the men and women behind bars across the nation, no matter what. But I have to learn now because of who we're dealing with, and the pettiness that they can have. I have to be careful in what I do and what I say. And so, but we just got a guy out a week and a half ago. If you did your whole sentence, like you're a state jail felony, there's no parole. You just do your whole time, like 2 years or less.
Yeah.
We take those guys. We take flat discharge people, meaning you do your whole sentence.
Yeah.
Those are a little trickier because, if you're doing your whole sentence, it means you've gotten a lot of cases written upon you and you're not acting right. So we've had some trouble with flat discharge, but we've got a guy coming in this month, another guy coming this month. We got a guy coming in August, 2 guys coming. So we're going to be full here in the next couple of months. And yes, somebody gave us some land about almost 2 years ago. It's been slow going in getting the property, put in our name, and we installed the water meter. Somebody donated money for the water meter. That was $5,000. Now we're trying to get electrical ran to the property. The nearest electrical pole is a long way away. And so it's actually, they charge by the foot. It's actually going to cost right at $10,000 for us to get that. That's just run to our temporary electric pole. I finally went out there and set the temporary electric pole because God was like, you keep saying you want this electrical run to the property, but if I gave you $10,000 right now and they ran it, you haven't even set the electric pole, the temporary electric pole, for them to receive the electricity. I'm like, you're right, God.
That's so good. That reminds me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That reminds me of. I just did a podcast with my buddy Paul Ficino, and we're talking about like people getting stuck in the wait. Like where we're waiting for God, but that doesn't mean there aren't things that we need to be doing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's so easy to be like, oh, I'm just waiting on God. I'm waiting to hear. Yeah, but what could you be doing during the wait, or what has He told you to do? And that's
exactly right. Because sometimes we're asking God for the next part to take place. And we haven't even prepared and got ready for that next part to happen.
Yeah.
So if He made it happen, they're waiting on it. Now He's waiting on me now to set the temporary electric pole. So we've got plans. We've got a video that we're going to release pretty soon in conjunction with a fundraising campaign. We had a girl get out of prison last December. She was just on our show on Mother's Day episode, Sarah Carter. She got out last December and she contacted us in, I don't know, February, March. And then she posted what she does for a living. She designs backyard pools. And when she posted a design that she did, I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, Sarah, this is what we need for Forgiven Felons. Can you help us do this? Put this, because I mean, we have sketches and
Like
we
a
have
rendering?
drawings. Yes.
Yeah.
And so she put together a rendering and there's a video and it's incredible. And then
That's
of course
cool.
we start tweaking it and then we start adding things. And so it's pretty cool. The video is pretty cool. So what I've done now is I hired a drone. I have a drone, but I wasn't for sure if I could do this or not, but I hired a drone. So the rendering she has a flyover video so you could see it from all directions. So I hired a drone pilot, a videographer for drone to go out there and mimic the same pattern as the flyover,
But over just the
but
land?
over just the blank land.
That's cool.
And then now what I've created is a video that goes back and forth
That's
from the
cool,
blank
yeah.
land to what's going to be there. And it's pretty cool. I can't wait till we officially launch the fundraising campaign, but it's going to all tie into, in September, North Texas Giving Day. Our big fundraiser there will all kind of just tie into that.
I need to figure out how to get plugged in for that because I've never done that with the mentorship. I've always heard that's a good opportunity because it gets matched, right? Doesn't some get matched on it? Or
Not totally matched. They just add a little bit extra on
something,
you know.
yeah.
So it's North Texas Giving Day is a day where a lot of philanthropic organizations get together, pool their money, they give away prizes every hour. And they spend a lot of advertising money to bring awareness to all the nonprofits in North Texas. And you have to register. So I'll send you the link to register. Make sure you register. And when you're nonprofit, and what we started doing was we never had the time to just have a banquet or a gala or a fundraiser ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've just always kind of made that our annual fundraiser. And so we just kind of piggyback because everybody else already knows it's North Texas Giving Day.
Yeah.
So if we can just get out there, and sometimes we'll go, Channel 8 always has a 6 a.m. Out there on Victory Plaza. They allow all the nonprofits to come, like have one or two representatives and come out there and represent your organization. So I used to take Jessa out there with me, put her on my shoulders, and then she would hold the sign up that says Forgiven Felons.
That's
and we
cool.
always got on. It was like front and center because she's so cute.
Yeah.
Everybody always wants to put her on camera. So
That's
it's
cool.
pretty funny.
That's a good idea.
She would miss school. She'd miss the first part of school because it'd always be on a school day. And we'd have to get up like at 3. And Jessa, she's like, we get to get up at 3? I'm so excited.
Oh, like she wanted to?
Oh, she loves to get up early. Anytime she knows she's going somewhere with me on a road trip, like this past Saturday, we went out to Longview to get that trap bar that guy made for us. She's like, what time are we getting up?
That's funny.
I'm like, we're not leaving till 7. She's like, oh, okay. She loves to get up early.
And she looks forward to her little trips with Dad. That's so cool. That's cool that you brought her into everything that you do. And I've seen her, like, I remember when I really realized it for the first time was at the ASAP Preach concert. And we were out in like Carrollton or somewhere out
somewhere
there.
up north, yeah.
And you guys did the videography for the whole thing, and just seeing her, how proud she was of her dad was just really cool to see. It's like we were talking about earlier today. I need to get my son on here and have a podcast and do an episode with him. He's real well spoken. He's really smart. He would do really good. I've always thought, well, I need that. What is the angle? But the angle would just write itself. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah. My son who's about to be 26 this month. I didn't get to see him till he was 18.
Yeah.
He turned 18. I mean, it was because of some choices I made back when he was born, and dumb choices. But I didn't know how he would receive me. But he wanted to know more about me. He started asking questions about me when he was 16. He could tell his dark Filipino dad. He could tell that he was not related to him, and he's like, "My mom's white. I'm white. This ain't my dad."
Yeah.
He's like, "Mom, what's going on?" I mean, but the guy adopted him when he was 2, so he raised him. He did something that I wasn't willing to do at that time, and so he raised him. But he started asking questions, and so she reached out to me, and he was having seizures, and so she was like asking medical questions, and and he was 18. He was a little turd, dabbling in drugs and dropping out of high school, and so I was able to, I said, well, here's my number. If he wants to reach me now that he's not living with you and he ran away to grandma's, here's my number. He's going through some things that I went through at 18. So if you're okay, if you're not mad at me anymore, and you're okay with him having my number, tell him to reach out.
How's that relationship now?
It's amazing.
Oh, you guys talk?
Oh yeah. We talk all the time.
That's freaking
we FaceTime all the time. He's coming to see me. Like I said, this is his birthday month, June. So he's coming down to see me this weekend, June 6th. So he's bringing his girlfriend now and his daughter. So I'm a grandpa. I never.
That's really cool.
And on the last FaceTime call, it was pretty funny. He's like, you got to hear this. So he's like, come on, Autumn. She's like, what's up, Pawpaw? So she's called me grandpa before, but she always called his stepdad Pawpaw.
I've never seen you light up like you just did talking about having a grandkid. That's cool that you've been able to rebuild that conversation. Have you ever gone to his stepdad and thanked him?
We've never been in touch with each other.
You should write him a letter or something.
So him and his mom divorced. Oh. So he's not in the picture anymore.
I still think it would be something. He adopted your son at 2 years old and raised him,
He doesn't have a good relationship with anybody like his son now. Because, I mean, when I first met my son, he didn't have anything good to say about his stepdad.
Oh, really?
And so I had to stop him. I said, look, I know you just met me. Yeah. And I don't have the right to pour into you just now, but I need you to know that no matter what you think of him, he raised you.
Yeah, he put his time and resources
into
you.
I need you to be able to honor that. You don't have to like him, but I need you to be able to honor what he did. And that was the first kind of like setting the tone for our relationship that, and I needed to say that to him as a dad, as his dad, but about the dad that raised him.
Yeah, that's good.
And
it would have been easy to get on this let's trash this guy bandwagon. Yes. You know what I mean?
And so because of that, though, he doesn't have a relation. He hasn't talked to since the divorce. He hasn't even talked to Carlos. Okay. So
yeah, that changes
it would be tough. And again, the narrative that was being told about me, by his mom was not a good narrative.
Yeah.
And so the condition from the dad was, I don't want Chase or you to ever talk to this dude again. So there's kind of a now he would never know the real me now.
Yeah.
If I couldn't reach out to him, but I don't see that there's a way. Chase's mom still doesn't want anything to do with me. And I guess Chase could connect me if he wanted to, but he hasn't heard from him since the divorce.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. That would be cool though. That would be cool.
I think all that matters is that your son is back in your life, and
it's pretty cool. It's pretty stinking cool. And we look so much alike.
When
I first met him, he had a backwards ball cap on. He's 18, and his mom did send me some pictures. She's like, "Would you like pictures?" I'm like, "Sure," because my wife's always like, "Are you sure it's his kid or your kid?" And when I got the pictures, I'm like, "Babe," she's like, "No DNA tested needed there." I can only
imagine what he looks like.
So when I showed him a picture of me when I was 18 with a ball cap on,
yeah.
Next to the picture of him that his mom sent me with his ball cap on, with him at work, I showed it to him and his mouth just dropped. He's like, "Oh my gosh, we look identical." I'm like, "Yeah." So, and he took his hat off and I said, "See that receding hairline?"
Yeah.
That's me. You're welcome.
Welcome to the club.
And now he's shaved. And for the first adult years, 18 to 22, maybe 21, he couldn't grow a beard. It's all patchy. But now we look like twins now. Shaved head and just full
and the beard.
Yeah. So
that's the only look that we got left once your hair starts falling off. I had to let mine go too. Wear a hat most of the time now, but so what's next for as far as we talked about the transition house, you got the podcast, we got the book coming out. Like you've got a lot of stuff going. What are the deadlines so we can hold you accountable?
Yeah, so Father's Day is I don't know when this will air, but Father's Day is my deadline for getting the book done. And,
is that just as far as you're writing it part and then it's going to go to, or does that include cover, launch, everything?
Finishing writing. I think the guy helping me has got a lot of stuff already planned for publishing, book cover and all that. He's just waiting for me to finish it. In fact, he's already got the first 10 chapters fully edited.
Okay.
So he's editing as I'm sending him chapters.
So you'll send them chapter by chapter? That's a good way to do it.
He said, whenever you finish a chapter, you have to send it to me. And he actually put me on deadlines in the beginning. He said, if you're going to have me do this, you need to know that I'm going to chew your ass out sometimes. Yeah. And I said, okay, that's fine. And he has a couple times, but then he realized what my life looks like, the scheduling of my life. And the hardest part for me, the reason it took me 20 years to do this, and even before a year and a half ago when I started writing like with his coaching, I only had 3 chapters done, and it was chronological. He looked at it, he goes, these 3 chapters are from birth to 3rd grade. He said, how long is your book going to be? He said, I've read 3 chapters of your book and I don't know anything about your story. All I know is what birth was like for you in 3rd grade. That's it. He goes, by the time I get to chapter 3, I need to know a little bit more about you. He said, so let's do this. So he started having a different idea, and so the book is called 8 Days of Freedom, and it's about my 8 days I spent in solitary confinement.
That's cool.
But what we did was every day we start off the chapter by describing my day in solitary confinement.
That's cool.
Everything I thought about, everything I was doing. So after the day's over, then that same chapter, we shift to what that day made me think about in my past. So every chapter has reflections of a part of my testimony.
That's a cool way to do it. I like that.
I know. Yeah. And so he got me in this rhythm of writing this way. And I was like, wow, this is fun. I would have never thought to do the book like that.
Yeah.
So the first 8 chapters are the 8 days in solitary confinement.
That's cool.
And then 9, 10, and 11 and 12 if we need it. I think we may be okay with 11, but the last 2 or 3 chapters are just going to be from the day I get out of solitary confinement to the end of my sentence when I walk out of prison.
Oh, okay.
So it's in every different unit. And so the next book will catch up from where I get out of prison.
Okay. So then that'll be the testimony from prison and out.
Right.
So you're going to do it into 2 separate books?
There's literally about 4 books I'm going to be writing.
Really?
One of them is going to be a recovery book. I still get drunk. I just switch bartenders.
Yeah.
That's going to be a book about recovery. And then there's going to be one book called Background Check Podcast. And it's going to be all about not letting your background hold you back. And we're going to go through the principles of how you can go through life, not letting what you've been through sit there and be dormant, but how you can use it to pay you back. Whether you share your story with one person on the bus line or in the grocery store, or whether you're sharing to thousands in front of people, or whether you're sharing it to 30 students in your mentoring class, it's going to give you ways of how you can use what you've been through to help pay you back.
That's so cool. Cause that's actually like literally what, like, I was just thinking about as you were saying that, and it was just hitting me like, dude, that's exactly what I've done.
Absolutely.
I've just allowed.
And we're going to have several guests from the show be highlighted in the book. And your story is going to be one of those.
Why not use it? Why hide it and let it be something that could be negative instead of just putting it out there and using it to your benefit? Like, that's all I've done.
And there's several different ways your background can pay you back. It can pay you back spiritually. So if you share your story with somebody and the trajectory of their life changes, it's paid you back spiritually.
It's good.
Okay. But every time somebody pays $10 to buy your book, your background is literally paying you back.
It's good. Or if you open a gym and you can name it Second Chance Fitness,
that's
because
right.
Fitness gave you a second chance at life, or Second Chance Mentors, or the podcast and that we have now. Like, my whole life is my identity, which, besides being in Christ, right?
Yeah.
Is almost on being an ex or a felon.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean? Like, and
absolutely.
you too, same thing with you. Like, I've claimed that instead of having to hide that. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Because that just all that, and then you got to worry about people finding out. So,
and see, that happened for me in prison. So I'm sitting there asking God. I said, God, you want me to do all these things when I get out, but this one little word is going to keep me from doing it a lot easier. This word, felon. It's going to be a huge obstacle in the way. So is there any way you can get rid of this word? Is there any way when I get out, lawyers, expungement, is there any way I can get rid of this word? Because this word is going to highlight, put a spotlight on me, and it's going to keep me from doing things a lot easier. Is there any way you can?
He said, absolutely not.
Exactly. Those are his words. And in fact, I think if God could say hell no, he probably would have said hell no at that point. Yeah. But he says, no. He goes, in fact, I want you to embrace it.
That's good.
So he said, heaven no.
Yeah, heaven no.
He said, I don't want you just to suppress it, forget it, hide it. I want you to embrace it. I'm like, I don't get it, God. You want me to embrace a word that defines the darkest times of my life? And he said, absolutely. Yeah. And so I said, okay. And then he started to explain a few things to me. He's like, you know, Jesus, when he walked this earth and he died on the cross, he had scars. And when he rose from the dead, when we all rise, we're going to get our new body one day. Yeah, that's just what we're promised, a new body. We're going to get a new body. When Jesus rose from the dead, he had a different body than when he walked this earth as 100% human. He had a different body because he was walking through walls at that point. After he rose from the dead, he just appeared in a room. So he had his resurrection body. But there's one thing interesting about his resurrection body. I wonder if God gave him his resurrection body and he goes, oh, wait a minute. My new body's great, Dad, but I'm missing some things. I need these scars back. I need my scars and my holes back. Why? Well, there's somebody on earth that needs to know where I've been.
That's good.
And if I don't have the scars to show where I've been, he may not believe.
Who was it that needed
Thomas.
to see? Yeah.
Thomas said, unless I can put my fingers in the scars of Jesus, I will not believe.
That's good.
And so when Jesus came to him and he said, here, do it. Now he kind of got onto him and said, now, everybody else believed without having to do this, but at the same time, he appreciated the fact. I wonder if he kept his scars just for Thomas. And the word felon is just a scar.
Yeah.
And if we hide it, and see, the scars that he was able to put his fingers in pointed him to the Father in heaven.
That's good.
And the felon, the reason we put it on our shirt, the reason we put keep calm, I'm a forgiven felons, we wear it on because it's a scar that points people to our Father in heaven.
That's really good, dude.
And so the other thing too is that he took me back to English class. He said the word felon is just a noun. You can't change the meaning of a noun. It's a person, place, thing, or idea. You can't change the meaning of a noun. And I loved English class, and I agreed with him. He said, the only thing you can do with a noun is you can put an adjective in front of the noun to change the way people see that noun. Like hair. And he used the word hair because I think I didn't have any hair. He said, hair. We know what hair is. We know what hair is. But we don't know how to look at the word hair until we start putting adjectives in front of it. Brown hair, curly hair, straight hair, gray hair. He said the adjective tells you how to see the noun. And he said, so today I'm going to put an adjective in front of your noun that's going to change the way you and other people see that noun. And that word is forgiven.
Forgiven. That's so awesome. Forgiven felon. I love that. I've never heard that. That's the first time I've ever heard that. That's good. So I had a guy on a post I made the other day comment that I'm the reason that I was successful after prison is because I had privilege and that most people can't even find a job after 13 years and stuff. And honestly, I responded very respectfully and I said I have been very privileged, but I've also put in a lot of hard work for like a lot of effort into. But I actually disagreed with it. There's actually a lot of people out there, and this is kind of off topic, but I don't know what made me get there. But there's a lot of people out there that want to hire and are willing to hire felons and give them a second chance. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people. I know tons of business owners that are excited at the aspect of hiring.
And you're one of them now.
Yeah, for sure. I don't care about your background. No one's ever said, hey, do you have a felony before I got on their roof? Like it's never been a question that they asked. But I guess just to say that it's so many people get stuck in this self-pity mode of, I'm a felon now. I can't get a job, or I'm a felon now. It doesn't always have to have that connotation. Yeah. It's almost like if you're a felon and you're doing right, you almost get double the respect now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh my God, he was a felon, but now look how good he's doing. So you can look at it in a self-pity way, or you can look at it as.
And I did it both. I was self-pity for a while because I was a manager. All my jobs, I started managing restaurants in different places when I was young. So when I got out of prison, I was just trying to be a manager again.
See,
I put in probably, I want to say over 100 resumes in for management positions in all different places. And nobody would want to hire a felon as a manager. But that drove me to start my own business.
Yeah, or people got to understand that they might have to start at the bottom and prove themselves before
Yeah.
they work. Because I bet you if they would have hired you at another position, it would have been 6 months before they saw your talent, and you
And
would
I
have
did.
been a
I worked at
manager.
a couple. When I first got out, I worked at a bakery for $9 an hour.
Yeah,
After the first week, the mom and daughter who owned it came to me and said, "Hey, we really like the way you work and handle customers and all that. We want to go ahead and make you a manager
see, that's what. Yeah,
and pay you salary." And so I was like, "Okay, great." Well, after 3 months, it was horrible.
salary they're working you to
No,
death.
yeah, well, working together because I knew what salary meant. But it reminded me of when I was in prison. I was at Lockhart Work Facility. I was at the only unit in Texas where they paid you a normal living wage at that unit, and I was making $6 an hour. Minimum wage back then was $5.85. So I was making more than people out here
That's crazy.
at the job in prison. But at some point, after a year and 2 or 3 months, God said, "Quit this job and get involved in the church." I'm like, "What? I can do both, God. I can do both." You ever tried to tell
Yeah.
God how it's going to be done? And when I started trying to do both, and go against what He told me to do, I went from one of the best at what I did in prison to one of the worst. I messed up every part.
You told me this.
I couldn't
Were y'all
get.
fixing radios or something?
No, they were all. It had to do with refrigeration, and one of the other little smaller companies was a circuit board and
Circuit
all this
boards.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I worked for the one that did all the drilling, the refrigeration stuff, piping and brazing, and God was trying to teach me something, because before I went to prison, no matter how much I drank and partied, I prioritized work over everything, even over serving God. Even over my upbringing in church, I prioritized work. If I was offered overtime, double time, anything on Sundays, I was there.
Yeah.
And He said, in prison, He said, when I got back to my cell one time, I said, "God, why am I, they were about to fire me." So that's a word right there. Either you be obedient and leave what God's telling you to leave, or you're going to leave the other way,
Yeah.
which is in a bad way.
Might as well go out the way.
Yeah. And so I said, "God, why am I doing so bad at work?" He goes, "Because you're not supposed to be there. I told you to
I
quit."
told you to quit.
So I went and put my 2 weeks notice in. And that's what He said. He said, "Because you value work too much. You value work over me, and you're trying to serve me, go to the next level with me, and keep your job. And I need you to know that there's going to be a time where I need you to serve me and not worry about your job."
That's so good.
So-
That is a lesson right there. Sometimes it's hard to know, but
But that bakery job, when I first got out, I didn't
Yeah.
pray about it. I just took it. And all of a sudden, it looked good because they saw my talent.
yeah,
But then after 3 months, I started burning myself in the kitchen on the ovens and the pans. I started making mistakes. They make batches of icing for wedding cakes for
Yeah.
like 10 wedding cakes that are like $3,000 each. So I make a big batch of icing, and I was supposed to put like 10 cups of powdered sugar in there. And then when you start mixing it up, it's supposed to have a certain consistency. And I'm like, this does not look right. And this mom and daughter, they didn't label anything. They knew where everything was. There was nothing labeled. So I asked the little supervisor in the back, I said, "Hey, this doesn't look right." She's like, "Is this supposed to be buttercream?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "It's just not looking right." She goes, what all did you put in there?" I said, "Powdered sugar, this." She goes, "Where'd you get the powdered sugar?" I was like, "Right there." She goes, "That's flour." And I'm like, oh. She's like, "Let's help me get rid of this real quick, and we're just going to keep this
Hide
between
it.
me and you."
So they don't know that we wasted those.
So I just couldn't do anything right anymore. It was just like the prison job all over again. And God said, "You didn't pray about this job. I didn't tell you to take this job."
So one of the last episodes I posted was about waiting on God and how do you know if God's telling you to move or what to do. And so this kind of is a good life lesson. If things that you normally can do pretty easily, like if things aren't working and you're messing stuff up, maybe that's a sign from God that He's saying, "Hey, you're not where I want you to be."
And it's really, you can tell the difference between just normal challenges
Yeah.
and you're not in the right place,
Yeah.
and these were things that were happening. We sat down and she looks at me and she goes, "Don't you?" I said, "I know." She said, "Can we just mutually part ways?" She's like, "Yeah." And I said, "I don't know that I was ever even supposed to be here." She goes, "But you were so good at first." I said, "I know, because I'm going to be good at no matter what I do. But if I'm not where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
at some point, it's going to manifest."
That's good.
And I said, so I apologized to her. I said, "I'm so sorry that I wasted your time thinking you had another manager,
Yeah.
And I said, it's my fault because I took the job because I like y'all. and I love bakery. I love cookies and I love
I
cakes.
love cookies and cakes.
I was hoping to get, like a discount, and I said, that's why I took it. I said, and you had a ride. You were picking me up from work and dropping me off. I said, it seemed like it was the right thing.
Yeah.
I said, but I didn't pray about it.
There's just so many things in my life that I've rushed and haven't prayed about, and it's funny how they don't work out unless God's behind it. Can you, before we wrap up, could you tell all of our listeners, I know they already know who you are, but kind of where they can find your podcast, and if they want to reach out to you, how they can find you and everything?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, if you're out here in the free world, YouTube, you can watch now on Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts has video options now, so you can watch on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, every podcast platform that has video now. You can watch on there, but YouTube's the best way to watch. But if you want to listen, then yeah, go back to Podbean, Apple Podcasts. We're just not on Spotify, and I'm okay with that. But on the inside, if you have people on the inside, make sure that they know they can watch and listen to us on the podcast app. And that's on if your loved one has Securus, the Securus tablet. Um, and then also, whether your loved one has a GTL, ViaPath, or Securus, or Adovo, you can watch us on the Adovo app. And but you got to look up two different ways. On the Securus tablet, you got to search for Background Check Podcast on the podcast app. If you're on Adovo, just like Pando, you search for the Forgiven Felons channel. And we're also in a lot of county jails on the NCIC tablets, but whatever's on there is on there. They start charging an arm and a leg, so we're not gonna add any more content to the NCIC. But if your loved one is in a county jail where they have NCIC tablets, we do have some episodes on there as well. So and out here in the free world, we have breakfast Bible study twice a month. I think you've come. Have you ever come and
I
shared?
haven't, but Brian has.
I need to. Brian's come. Corey's come. And we need to get you there. Breakfast Bible study. We have it usually every other Sunday, twice a month. We eat good breakfast. Either the guys are cooking and they cook good, or I go get Taco Cabana breakfast tacos. And then we usually once every 3 months or so we have a big open house. Our next one's July 4th. So go to the website. Follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook. If you search Forgiven Felons, everything, you can find us. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. I do have to, I forgot, and I don't want to forget because they've been so good to me. Hope is Alive. Do you know about Hope is Alive?
Oh,
So Hope is Alive is this kind of, it's not so much transitional housing. It's not transitional housing. It's sober living homes.
okay.
And they run a great program. They're these freaking big old mansions. Like they're these beautiful mansions that people can go to, and they actually sponsor the show now.
Oh, wow.
So
Cool.
it's our first official sponsor.
Nice. Come on.
Isn't that cool? And the guy Lance Lang who founded it he's incredible. I've had a couple of the guys that work for them come on the show. Some guys that have been through the program have come on the show. They have to go to the house. They have to work. It's very structured and detailed. It's different than a transition house because they have like a program they have
Right.
to work with the sober side of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it's pretty cool. They do a bunch of huge events and they have a golf tournament coming up. So if anyone wants to do that, it's at Cowboys Golf. But what I was looking for, because that's what I said. So now what they want us to do is they want us to give the phone number. So if you guys want to call, you can still write me. I'll find a way to get you the application. But if you want to call, it's 1-844-346-73669 is the phone number. Every time I say it, I feel like there's an extra
That's
number.
a lot. That's a lot of numbers. Say it again.
It is, but there's like an extra number in it. But that's how it works. Isn't that weird?
I wonder if it spells something out, and if it spells something out, then you always add the extra number, but the extra number doesn't matter because it kicks in right after you do the number 10.
Maybe that's how that works. But the number that's on the website right here, and I gave this
Say it
last
again.
time, 1-844-346-73669. So there is an extra number on there.
There is.
But I've verified it. That's the number. So I'm not sure exactly how that works. Actually, I will, before I do the next episode, I will call and verify it to figure it out. But you guys, man, I'm so thankful. You guys know that you guys watch this show, that we get a chance to pour into your lives. I hope that you guys get something valuable and something, out of this when we come and talk to you guys. We don't get paid for this. We do this because we love you guys and we want the best for you. So just remember that you're loved and you're forgiven and there's nothing you can do about it.
Amen.
Peace.